What's up, everybody? It's Dr. Earl here, and it is a Monday afternoon. It's about close to 6:30 p.m. Central over here. I'm here with a newfound friend of mine. His name is Arknolia Strokelbean, who also lives in Texas like I do, and we got a couple things lined up here. Which you think we should probably get to that first before we get to the one of our topics here we want to talk about here?
Sure. Basically, what I was thinking was on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would just discuss music concepts and just kind of trace a history of music.
Yeah.
And on Tuesday, I'm thinking we start with classical music, which some of you may not like it, but it's the root of everything we listen to today for the most part,
Very true.
and and it's worth discussing.
Yes.
And we'll spend a little time on that on Tuesday and see how it goes. And if it goes well, we'll carry it on to Thursday. If not, we'll just move on to the next phase,
Yeah.
which is probably big band music,
Yeah.
which actually that stuff's pretty good too.
Stuff like Count Basie, Duke Ellington,
Yeah,
all the
Glenn
artists.
Miller.
Yes. Stuff that my dad used to listen to a lot of times. He was huge on Count Basie. I remember him playing a lot of his records a lot of times there.
Yeah, my father liked the big band era too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a I had a dose of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you and I both did. So
Another group I remember hearing that I record that I did enjoy was the Kirby Stone Four. They had an album called Bobos, Bangles, and Beads, and my dad owned it, and I used to play that a lot because I liked the atmosphere that record gave me.
yeah, yeah, and Billy Vaughn.
Billy Vaughn, yes. Drummer Sandy Nelson. He was one of the primary influences for drummers like Neil Peart and a couple others like John Bonham. I guess it's safe to say there.
Yeah, and we're kind of getting ahead of the game, but that's okay.
Yeah,
At
but then
least it gives people a taste.
yes, absolutely. And the reason we're doing this is because we need to alert the people today what came before the artists that we have today. Like we hear about all these rappers talking about like, whether it's Curtis Blow or Ice-T, but they don't really know who the heck Curtis Blow are, or let alone the Sugar Hill Gang. And we're kind of like giving the kids out there, a little taste of what came before the artists of today. Now we mentioned,
Absolutely.
yeah, because they need to learn. A lot of them need to learn because a lot of kids today nowadays are mostly close-minded. They only stick to whichever guns they have, and then it's time to expand our horizons. Like I know a lot of kids out there are getting into some of the classic rock, but the thing is, it's usually the classic rock records that we know like the back of our hands. Like for instance, Pink Floyd. They talk about Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall, Wish You Were Here. They need to go back to Ummagumma, the Saucer Full of Secrets record, Piper at the Gates of
Piper.
Dawn.
Right.
Yes, and they also need to go look into some of the two soundtracks they did for a couple French movies like Moore and The Valley, which was
Those are
came out
both excellent.
absolutely there. And plus,
Okay.
the concept behind animals as well. Okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
yeah.
getting into classical music, you're gonna we're gonna talk about people that actually Emerson, Lake, and Palmer covered.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of
So
their earlier records. They did a lot. It's no doubt that it was rumored for a long time that Keith Emerson, rest in peace, had a lot of computers in his house there, or mansion or whatever, at his place where he lived in England there, or Los Angeles. I don't know because a lot of English artists moved to Los Angeles a lot of times. But
abs-
yeah, and I guess he had a lot more computers in the IBM warehouse, but he needed them to translate all the works, the classical works of Beethoven, Chopin, many others that I cannot name at this moment because God knows, a lot of these prog rock artists did come from that classical music perspective as well, and they incorporated that into their music.
yeah, a lot. Rimsey Corsa.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry, my tongue got tied.
It's okay.
Okay, and then I'm thinking on Wednesdays
Yeah.
we'll just go over some TV shows that people don't talk about all that much,
Yeah.
but they're just as valid.
And need to be
And
reminded of, and as well as movies.
absolutely.
Yeah. We
And
we
well,
Go
and
ahead.
we'll start with Doctor Who
Yeah,
on Wednesday,
yeah,
and then on Friday we'll we'll like you said the movies, and we'll
yeah.
talk about movies that had a place and they're important, but nobody really talks about.
Hmm.
And I thought we'd start that one with Plan 9 from Outer Space, which
Oh
is
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
all
one of the
bad.
it's all bad, but yet it's good to a lot of people. But yet it's a lot of ways still good to enjoy.
It's a lot of, you can Mystery Science Theater the heck out of that movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. It featured. It was directed by Ed Wood, which was a topic of a one movie that I guess Johnny Depp portrayed, as well as it also featured the lady who played that vampira woman there, who's still kind of like iconic next to Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark, as well as Lily Munster as Morticia Adams.
Yeah, it, that lady was Vampirella.
Yes. And I forgot the name of the lady that portrayed her. I never really did get her name. Do you know her name by chance?
No, I'd have to look that up.
All right. And plus,
But we'll talk about that Friday.
all right. But we like to definitely get into this one little discussion while we were on the phone when I was heading back from the store there. It's like we were discussing these songs from these classic tunes from the 60s and 70s being incorporated today in these commercials, whether it's a beer commercial, a commercial for medications. I mean, we've been seeing all these products for your to help your diabetes, to help your blood pressure, to help your mental illness, everything like that. And you always, talk to your physician before you're trying this. Don't try this if you're on this other medication. And they always seem to incorporate other people's music, their own versions of it. Like for instance, the old septic medication that we were talking about. We've been seeing that
Right.
as of lot.
Yeah, they use the old pilot song Magic.
Yeah, and they incorporate instead of just it's magic, it's septic, which is kind of cheesy and kind of dim-witted in a lot of ways. But then again, they've been doing that with other songs like "Go Your Own Way" with by Fleetwood Mac,
Yep. Yep.
and they've been doing a couple other tunes, which sadly do not come to mind at this moment. But
Well,
this
one of the
is
ones that I mentioned to you
yes,
was the the Zombies had a song called Carousel 44
yes,
that they're using in a commercial. And the only part they use is the line that says, "Good morning to you. I hope you're feeling better."
yeah,
Well, that song's about a guy whose girlfriend, spouse, whatever she was in prison, and he's welcoming her back from her prison stay.
uh huh.
And I don't know what the heck that has to do with the medication, but okay.
I think it's that one line you mentioned that's probably the thing that came to mind.
Yep.
Yeah, and the same thing, and I also threw on my little notice about that kind of trend. You remember back when Phil Collins's "In the Air Tonight" was used in a Michelob beer commercial back in the later part of the '80s,
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember, and it's like everybody out there, including rock critics, other musicians, were like, "Wait a minute, hold the fuck up here." That song was written about Collins's divorce around 1980-81.
Yeah.
That's a personal song to him because he was going through a lot of traumatic times. He was going through this painful divorce, and this song is now not only being used in the show Miami Vice in '85, and now years later it's in the Michelob commercial.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up? Makes no
Doesn't make any
sense.
sense.
No
Nope.
sense at all. It's just like, but then again, that's how all these manufacturers figure. They did the same thing with Revolution. Nike
Yeah.
did. Yeah, back in 1987, you remember this, the song Revolution by the Beatles, a song where John Lennon is calling out the anti war movement for doing the same antics to end the war in Vietnam by using war like tactics, like throwing bombs, hitting people, screaming and hollering, but which is
Kind of
going
sounds
against the.
like today.
Yeah, exactly. We got that today. If John Lennon was still alive, no doubt him and the Beatles would get back together to do a Revolution 2020 here, no doubt.
Yeah.
And if people and definitely people today need to hear the lyrics of that song and look at themselves. But sadly, most of the people today are so damn close-minded. And that song, Revolution, which by the way we remember was recorded it as the originally as the B-side to the single "Hey Jude," would later be
Right.
used in a Nike commercial, a sports revolution, a revolution Nike products, and as a result of that, you know, a couple of the Beatles sued, Nike as a result of that, and a lot of bows and arrows were thrown at Michael Jackson because at that time he had purchased most of the rights to the Beatles music. But apparently, I also remember hearing back then it was also Yoko Ono who gave the okay to use that song in that particular commercial there. So we may never know who's really was responsible there.
No, no, they'll never release the story.
No, no,
Well,
but it is
one
good
of
to
them's dead.
mention it. Yeah, but it is worthy to note because how some manufacturers, I mean, Iggy Pop, who's considered the granddaddies of punk rock music, he said,
Right.
he didn't really mind it being used, his music being used for other things like sausage, cakes, or whatever. They were not popular back then, and maybe by chance they could be popular that way. Like Seek and Search and Destroy that he did with for the album Raw Power with the Stooges. That was
Right.
also used in a Nike commercial years on later.
Yeah, see, those make sense because they're trying to reach a bigger audience.
Yeah.
But using the songs that already had the bigger audience, just,
Hmm.
that's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's,
but
to me,
and
is
plus, when you look at it, the search and destroy attitude is what's implicated in sports like baseball, basketball, especially football, boxing, wrestling, you name it.
right.
And
Yeah.
and that's what the kind of feel that some of these songs give these appetizers.
Yeah, they're going for something that's similar to their product, but in a lot of cases they're missing completely.
Yeah, and I also know there's a lot of protests from out there and from others using from that as well. Artists like the Pretenders, Chrissy Hyde, she had a song called "How Much Did You Get for Your Soul," which talks about the artist selling the rights to his song about a heartbreak
Right.
to a commercial. And plus, you also can't forget John Fogerty from CCR. He had a song called Soda Pop, which talked about that subject as well. Because as well, Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin did a commercial for Coke. A couple artists
Yeah.
that did. I know. I guess Don Johnson and the late Glenn Fry from the Eagles. They appeared in a Pepsi commercial together back in around when Miami Vice was the big trend at that time on TV. And of course, we cannot forget Michael Jackson's Pepsi endorsement around that era as well during the Jackson's tour of 1984.
Yeah. And it's funny because Neil Young had
Yeah,
that
oh
song
yeah,
out
oh
about
yeah. This note,
I don't like Coke, I don't
I know,
like Pepsi, and
and
the
sing it
song's for
for,
you.
yeah. This note's for you. That's the
Yeah.
name of the record. Yep, and it made a lot of perfect sense in that song because and it was kind of funny is that that video for that song had to be edited out. It was originally had all these products being shown on the screen there, which by the way MTV did not that it was against there. I know for the video for Hot 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 by Buster Poindexter, they had to take a lot of logos out of that video, which was filmed in downtown Manhattan, from what I understand. But then again, that was MTV's policy. So they had to re-edit that video before it was completely shown on the air there. And Neil Young himself was not happy with that they did that.
No, because he was trying to make a point, and all that stuff helped make the point.
Yeah, that's true. Very
You know,
true.
how ironic is it to you that they have a Video Music Awards, I think on the other channel, I don't know, but they just had
MTV,
that
yeah,
on,
I know they had that last night. Of course, they were
and
doing it for
nobody
different.
shows any.
Nope. And they don't show it. And that's the thing that boggles me because the MTV I remembered back in around that when it first started was excellent. I mean, when MTV first started back around 81, 82, it was experimental. We were seeing all these new bands. We were seeing videos by songs we already know, but we're seeing them perform it for the first time.
Oh yeah,
I remember the Saturday night concerts, the Sunday night specials. That's when I first saw Night of the Living Dead in its entirety when that channel was flowing. I mean, we were seeing videos like Heart. We were seeing videos. Hell, I remember there was a program called The Basement Tapes, where local bands from
Right.
selected cities would send in their videotapes of their music videos and let the public call in to decide which one gets a record deal, such and such here and there. And I remember one of the bands that did this was a band out of Detroit called Toby Red. And I guess they had a song called Can't Find a Job at that time because Detroit was a very tough town to live in. That's where they were located. Um, and though they didn't win, but there was this one of the first acts to win that tournament was a group called the Young Invaders. I still remember the video to this day. I don't remember how much the song goes, but I just remember the video there.
And do you know, or let this a little trivia, but not big trivia.
Yeah.
Do you know the first song they ever played on MTV?
Oh yes, we all we know it. Video killed the radio star by the
Yeah,
Buggles. Yeah.
yeah, and I actually saw that day. I was interested. I wanted to see what was going on, so I tuned into this channel and saw it start. You know, they had the countdown obviously to it, and
Yes.
they started with that song, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, oh, how appropriate.
Yeah. It's kind of ironic because a year later, the two members of the Buggles, Trevor Horn and Jeff Dowse, would replace John Anderson and Rick Wakeman in the band Yes. They recorded one album, did one tour together. That album, which I still enjoy to this day, called Drama,
Yeah,
came out in 1980. I was like taken back. I was like blown away to put it forth because of the way Trevor Horn tried to do his best John Anderson
yeah, because
technique
to
there.
me, yes is John Anderson is yes,
Yeah,
but that's my own personal opinion. We'll get
yeah,
into that when we discuss that one.
yeah. Of course, Trevor Horn will later be able to put together, produce groups like The Art of Noise, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. He would co-run a record label called ZTT Records back in the 80s out of England there. He became a very well-known 80s music figure, ironically there.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that it was fun to watch that show because actually I enjoyed some of the VJs. Don Imus was one of
Yeah.
them.
No, that was
Uh,
VH1.
no, well, I think he also did MTV.
I don't know. I don't think I ever saw Don Imus on MTV. They had Mark Goodman, Alan
Remember him?
Hunter, Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood, J.J. Jackson, who sadly passed away a couple many years back. All those great guys. VH1 had Rita Coolidge, the singer there, Don Imus, some guy named Roger Rose, if I remember, and the guy. What's it? What's his? I forgot that guy's name who used to be Bowser on Sha Na.
Oh,
John something, I think it was. John Bowsman, I think it was.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think you're right.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember. I remember a lot of that stuff.
yeah,
And a lot of the videos were good.
yeah,
And pre those videos, of course, we're into subjects that we're going to discuss, but let's
yeah.
do it anyway. The Beatles actually had two videos.
Yes, I remember seeing one of them. I think it was Hey Bulldog, which was used in the Yellow Submarine movie there. I remember seeing
Well,
that on
actually,
YouTube.
actually before that, they had a video for Penny Lane and
Oh,
a
yeah.
video for Strawberry Fields Forever,
Oh, wow.
which was really trippy. I
Mm.
mean, that was a good video. And then Michael Nesmith of the Monkees
Oh, yeah.
released that video Elephant Parts, which
Yes,
actually
I
is
remember. And
excellent.
he's and him and Mickey are still on the road there. They got so guess what they're doing is a thing called the Mick and Mike show there. Since Peter Tork and Davy Jones are no longer with us.
Yeah, and I really miss Davy Jones. I like that guy.
Yeah, I mean we missed the monkeys. I mean like you believe when I tell you that they were modeled after the Beatles, obviously.
Oh yeah,
We
and I'm old enough that I saw it first run.
Yep. Wow. Yeah. I remember seeing that on syndication when I was a young kid when I was getting into music there. I was like, And I remember having a couple of their one records. I remember the big Monkeys revival back in 1986 when MTV started airing all those
Oh yeah.
episodes. There, a lot of people, a lot of kids at the time took interest to them. They were featured on the teeny bop magazines like 16, Teen Beat, and all that stuff there. You know, and and that was
Yeah,
about it.
I want to spend some time talking about that group because they're actually more influential than people think.
Yeah.
They were they weren't bad.
They were not. They
They
had some good songs there. They had a couple of for instance, believe it or not, Last Train to Clarksville was actually an anti war song, believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah, they did several of those.
Mm.
Randy Scout skits, the same thing.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, and then they did
Daydream Believer, which was written by
their
Neil
pleasant
Diamond.
songs.
Yep. Mm.
Yeah, their pleasant songs, as I
And
call them.
if I understand, one of their albums, I guess it was Capricorn Aquarius and Jones Limited, was the first album to feature a synthesizer on that, on any
There's
record.
a song. There's a song called "Daily Nightly" that's purported to be the first Moog synthesizer song,
Yeah, I think
but
they
it's
had
"Daily
that.
Nightly."
I think it was. I think that was used on the one of the towards the end of the one of their episodes there, if I understand.
Yes, it was. They did a lot of their songs on the episode. Well, we're talking about something that I hope will be one of our points of discussions because
Yeah,
one of the other
definitely.
things is when we get into the music,
Yeah,
when we get forward into the 60s and beyond,
yeah,
there are what you'd call landmark groups
yeah,
that I'd like for us to devote a whole podcast to.
definitely. We could definitely talk about that. We could probably do it tomorrow night if you wish. Definitely.
Well,
Just
actually, tomorrow
or
night's classical music.
oh, okay, tomorrow. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, and definitely Wednesday night we can probably discuss these bands there.
And then Doctor Who on Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely. Which, by the way, is how I got the Dr. Earl name, by the way. People at the club that I used to go to around the early 90s used to call me Doctor Who because of the hair and the black trench coat I was wearing.
Funny, did you carry your sonic screwdriver?
No, I didn't know what that was at that time, And
How far back have you gone with those episodes?
well, the only episodes I remember seeing at that time was on a small independent syndication city. It was an
The
it was
Tom
a
Baker ones.
Yes, that's the ones I remember seeing. They would come on after a couple of cartoons in the afternoons there, and I was like, "Wow, this is interesting. What is this Doctor Who, and why do we see this police box in almost every episode?" And it took me a long time when I moved to Texas, with the help of my nephew there, who was a Doctor Who fan himself, to really realize the whole concept of it.
Oh, it. Well, we'll discuss that Wednesday because it gets
Definitely.
really deep
Oh yeah.
and really involved. There's like, at least 10 of them.
Wow.
I mean, of the doctors, there's way more episodes.
Actually, the 13th Doctor is actually now because the one they're playing, the one that's on out there right now is a lady named Jodie Whittaker.
I haven't seen those yet. I need to see
I
those.
did see a couple of them. I know the cinematography is pretty good out there. It's a lot more realistic, whereas the past episodes with good Peter Capaldi and Matt Smith and David Tennant there, as well, and Christopher Eccleston, if I
Oh,
pronounce it right.
the Tenet ones were good,
Yeah,
and I like the Tom Baker ones, but
yeah.
those are classics.
Hmm. Definitely, I
But
did.
yeah, I go way. I've seen some of the. Well, actually, I've seen the first one,
Hmm.
and I've seen some of the others since then. And there's a group of them. Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
But there's a group of them that the video's not available, only the audio. So
I know.
what I've
So,
seen as stills.
yeah. Well, what they're doing with those kind of episodes that they're coming up with computer animation. They did that with one episode that was never finished called Shada with Tom Baker. I don't remember hearing about this. There was a strike that occurred there that the studio was going through. So that episode got put to the shelf, and they decided to take a look there and look through some archives and decided to add computer animation to some of the live footage that they shot.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many episodes there are, but at one point it was the longest running uh,
Sci-fi.
serial show.
Yes, definitely. It started well. Let's not forget it started back in 1963.
Right.
Yeah, and it's considered one of the three strongest sci-fi franchises out there, next to Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah, and that, folks, is a preview of what's coming on Wednesday.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
We'll cover it in deeper. And Thursday, like I said, if we get done with classical music, we'll move on to big band.
Hmm.
But if we don't get done with classical music, we'll continue that.
Definitely.
But there's a lot of stuff out there to cover on that one.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get bogged down, and you know,
Into the
some people,
same routine there. Yeah.
some people aren't going to enjoy it. But like you said, it's kind of an education to let you know where this stuff comes from
Yeah.
and get an idea.
Exactly, because Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was considered a big rock star in his prime. According the movie Amadeus proved
Yeah,
that
I
as
saw
well with
that.
Tom Hoos back in '84. I remember the video, a music video that was done in his honor with scenes from the movie with all these clips from acts like David Lee Roth, Alice Cooper, and a couple others, to prove the point.
Exactly. And it's funny because I saw that movie too and enjoyed the heck out of it,
Oh
actually.
yeah. It's kind of funny, and that's when we got to see actors like F. Murray Abraham get himself through the door there. Because a lot of people were talking about him. He's got featured in a couple other movies as well, including that one with Tom Selleck. I guess it was called An Innocent Man there, if I
Yep.
understand. Yes, I
Yep.
remember him. Ain't life a motherfucker? He was to say that a few times through that flick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, maybe that's a movie we'll talk about when we get into movies.
yes, definitely.
It might be a little further down the line, but
Yeah,
that was and I'll have to re-see it to remember it.
definitely. But let's talk about MTV and what the heck went wrong.
I want to be careful here, but I kind of, well, when they started doing their reality type things,
Oh yeah, I think that's
16 and pregnant and crap like that.
Teen
Uh,
Mom, the
yeah,
reality shows,
that for me kind of blew it.
because it
And
took
plus
over.
they and plus they started concentrating heavily on rap music, which I'm not a fan of,
I know,
and didn't really get into rock and roll.
I know. Well, the thing with MTV that kind of upset me is, as a couple of years later went by, it became radio, regular top 40 radio that you could watch instead. It was the same videos over and over. They had to be like, sell the records, sell the band, sell the product. Whereas back when it first came out, it was playing all these bands like the Young Invaders, Classics Nouveau. They were playing all these interesting
New,
acts, stuff right there. Yeah, all the stuff that was obscure. Like the first time we heard of Duran Duran was the video for Planet Earth. We were like, what the fuck are these clothing and what the heck are these hairstyles that they're doing? Turns out
yep,
years later that would be one of the main things for about the 1980s.
yeah, yep. No, that's true. They went away from being a uh, where you could get a start or whatever
Yeah,
into what's hot now. Let's play that.
yeah,
I can turn on the radio and hear that.
yeah, I
And
understand. Yeah, but the
and
thing,
the
yeah,
videos aren't. Not a lot of the videos aren't that good,
I
but
know.
some of them are.
Some of them are, some are not. But the thing is, I look for videos that are different, that are kind of different. That's kind of like a. I remember there was this one video by Malcolm McLaren, who you remember was the manager of the Sex Pistols. He released an album called Fans, which was basically some um, electronic beats and opera music there combined. And
Right.
there was this thing called Madame Butterfly. It was just like he wanted to make a video where someone could actually fall asleep while watching. It was a bunch of girls in sort of a spa or something like that. One of those contract places where you sit in and sweat your ass off, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And that was about it. He wanted to make a video that would precisely put you to sleep. And of course
And
we
Madame Butterfly was actually an old opera from the
yes, I
classical.
remember. Yes, that he was trying to interpretate classic opera into his record, like he did with the
Right.
record he did before that called Duck Rock, which was basically influenced by the New York hip hop in America, like the song Buffalo Girls.
Well, another thing is I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of prog rock
Hmm.
and psych rock,
Yes.
and they didn't do much of that on MTV.
Yeah, I know. The only thing they had at that time was Yes and Genesis. And at that time, Genesis was a top 40 machine, and Yes at that time was kind of went top 40, but they still had some of their prog rock roots and songs like
Right.
Changes, City of Love. It was a lot more because 90120 was like what was it 90125? My pardon.
No,
That's the
yeah,
name of the album.
90125. Yeah.
Yeah, I get them mixed up because of the confusing that with the 90120 TV series that Fox had
Right.
earlier in the 90s. Because have a lot the same numbers in the title there. That was like one
Well,
of
the
the
funny
biggest
thing about
records.
that was that particular record. They got the title from
The catalog
record
number,
company.
yes.
Yeah, that was their catalog number,
And it
and
was
I thought
not
that was kind of
supposed to be
funny.
Yes. It was also been a new band they put together with a couple new members titled Cinema, but the record company decided, hey, we got three members of the band, Yes, let's call it Yes.
Yeah, and actually, there's a song on that album, I believe, "Leave It," and then
Yep.
"Cinema" is there too. But I remember "Leave It" on played on MTV
Yeah.
occasionally.
They had how many in us and I don't know who came up with the idea, but they made so many versions, video versions of that song, with the
Oh yeah,
guys, just standing upside down, a couple of members missing. It's like how many video versions of that song have been? You could probably one time it got to the point where MTV played all of them all together, and finally they decided on one official one with all these effects of the
well, they
band.
also had at least three different recorded versions.
Yes, I remember. Yeah. I remember hearing about that. And of course, we cannot forget the story behind the video for Owner of a Lonely Heart. People still try to figure out what did those Secret Service men and what with this one guy and why is he getting beat up here? What's the deal here? And,
Yeah, there's also a long version of that song.
ah,
I I I'm an audiophile. I
I
collect
know.
these things.
I know. There's a longer version of Election Day by Arcadia, the Duran Duran
Yeah,
side project. We got to
yeah,
give this credit, album lots of credit. I still love this record to this very day. So Red the Rose came out in 1985. I know it didn't really make it that big because for some reason it was a lot more darker than the previous Duran Duran side group, the Power Station. We all know that record like the back of
oh
our
yeah.
hands. You know,
I can't recall the name of. Didn't they do a version of Bang a Gong?
yes, they did. It was the second single. It was Andy Taylor, John Taylor from Duran Duran, singer Robert Palmer, and Tony Thompson, the drummer for the disco group Chic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I remember. I remember. Well, I remember the T Rex version of that
Oh
song
yeah,
too.
definitely. Well, they had a lot of good songs. They had a cover version of the Isley Brothers' "Harvest for the World" there, which
Yeah.
Andy and Robert would share vocals on, which is a pretty good version there. Now, the one that really blew my mind was the album "So Red the Rose" by Arcadia, which was Simon Le Bon, Nick Rhodes, and Roger Taylor, the drummer.
Right.
Yeah, I enjoyed that record more than the Power Station because it was a lot more darker. It was a lot more mysterious. It was like kind of like what you say, the dark side of Duran Duran. That's why I often called it at times.
Well, the Power Station was meant to be more of a
Commercial,
hit
yeah,
machine.
a commercial rock machine.
But that was well, actually Duran Duran. I remember my first two songs. I think were "Hungry Like the Wolf"
Hmm.
and "Rio."
Yeah, I remember those videos as well. Those videos were massively played. I remember the big hysteria
Oh,
at
and
that
"Girls
time.
on Film."
Oh yeah, the original version. You ever saw the uncensored version of that of that video there?
I think I saw it once or twice.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I remember. Yeah. Oh, I got to tell you this. Me, my mom, dad, and my sister were watching this thing on Showtime, the cable network. Um, they had this Duran Duran special where they played all the videos that they had compiled all together, including some stuff that we didn't know existed. Like it was called Careless Memories, I think it was.
Yeah, I kind of remember that song, I think.
And in the afternoon, I don't know if it was a mistake or done on purpose, but the last video they played on that special was the uncensored version of The Chauffeur.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, if you ever saw that, the uncensored version of that, you know what I'm talking about. For those who
y-
don't know, it featured woman chauffeur driver, a couple of them meeting together, bare-breasted, doing some sort of dance together while holding each other's arms, kind of like a lesbian type of thing. They vibe they got going there. And I guess I guess the Showtime network got lots of heat for that because it was right in the afternoon. It was a Sunday afternoon. I remember it very clearly. And
yeah,
since
and they're not
that,
supposed to show that stuff before
for the
7, I
prime,
believe.
yeah, and ain't it during the after prime time? I remember. In fact, I guess since that we have yet to see it. I think it may be still on YouTube, but they have to guess prove that you're 18, if I understand.
Yeah, there's a well, I've hit some spots that do that, and they
Yeah.
do ask.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I remember I had well, I already proved my age up there.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago.
Yeah, but those were the days, man. Oh yeah, we cannot forget Golden Earrings, Twilight Zone.
Oh,
There was a scene there. There was a close up of a woman approaching the singer on the bed. They had to zoom in on her face because she was bare breasted as well.
yeah, and then of course you got the vinyl song. I like to touch
Oh yeah, that
myself. Or,
I
no.
oh man, that was a trippy record to hear there. It's like
Yeah, it was.
it's kind of fun the way she. By the way, the singer Christina Amphlett, I guess her last name was pronounced. She passed away a couple years back. I don't know what it was
Wow.
from. Yeah, and of course, in the past, she would do these outrageous things on stage, like writing lipstick, like stuff on her arms and create and shit like that. And now she's singing a song about touching herself.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
kind of funny, or it's kind of ironic about the people that have passed away,
Yeah.
and yet Keith Richards is still alive. I mean,
Dude,
you look at that guy, and it's like you're dead, but nobody told you.
yeah, but you know what? It's kind of funny they do the same thing with Betty White and Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, you guys are still alive?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
kind of funny. I can remember all the memes coming out after during 2016 when all these celebrities were passing away, like Carrie Fisher, George Michael, David Bowie, and they had this one meme of Keith Richards with a smile on his face, reading the newspaper saying, "Hey Mick, guess who I outlived this week?"
Everybody. Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
there's,
I don't know how old he is.
I think he's in his 70s.
Well, he's definitely older than me.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing. You look at the guy and you wonder,
How the hell is he doing?
what's he doing?
Well,
I mean,
what I understand, I read this on Facebook in an article, and apparently one of the things Keith Richards did was quit smoking because in the past we see him all the time with his guitar, with his cigarette dangling from his mouth all the time.
yeah. Well, it's funny because Johnny Depp, when he did Pirates of the Caribbean,
Yes.
said he modeled the character after Keith Richards.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
And
know.
ironically, Keith Richards showed up
And
as his father.
I know. I remember the buzz about that. I was good. But a lot of people are like, no surprise there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. Oh, and while we're at it, let's mention to people that are listening, and hopefully we have a few.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we
Give us
they'll
ideas
let
for.
it. They'll. No, sorry to interrupt. They'll definitely. We're just recording this right now. It'll be uploaded on my channel definitely later on. Definitely, and the views will probably go through the roof there, no doubt.
I hope so.
Definitely.
But we'll have people on the Wednesday and Friday show.
Yeah.
Give us some ideas on shows and on movies. but
Yep.
don't give us a run of the mill current movie that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
Go for the unusual. Go for the different.
Yeah.
And on the shows, well, we're already going to talk Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Star Trek, all the various Star Treks is another one we want to
Yeah.
do.
Yes. There's a lot
And
out there. Yeah.
there's so many different shows we can talk about that are interesting in their own ways, and they had an audience,
Hmm.
so they're worth talking about.
I can name two right now that it just came to mind. There was a Terminator, the Sarah Connor, excuse me, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which was on Fox TV for a while there, and there was this
Yeah.
one on syndication. I remember me and my girl at the time saw The Legend of the Seeker. We only saw one episode. I guess it was a syndicated series there, if I understand. The same way with Xena, Warrior Princess, and Hercules, The Incredible Journeys there.
Well, those two I'm going to have to get familiar with because I'm not familiar.
Oh, yeah.
But some other possibilities is there was something that Steven Spielberg was involved with called The Amazing Stories, which was good,
Ah,
which was back a ways. And there was other, well, I like anthology shows.
uh-huh.
Twilight Zone,
Yes.
Outer Limits.
Yes,
I
I remember
mean,
though. Night Gallery.
yes,
That
Night
was
Gallery
another
was
Rod
good.
Sterling one right there. Definitely.
Yeah. But from what I read somewhere, they only wanted him to host it. He wasn't involved in like he was Star Trek,
Uh-huh.
Twilight Zone in the actual production and putting it together and picking it out. They just made something said, "Here, host
Yes.
this," and he didn't like doing it, but he did it
Yeah.
because he did it.
Yeah.
But there were good episodes done. A lot of good episodes of Night Gallery actually.
Yeah. There was I didn't really see much episodes of that my guess myself there, so definitely got to start looking into those. I remembered Outer Limits there. They had a few things there that was
Oh, that
kind.
show started out incredibly strong,
Yes.
went along real good, and then the network said, "Let's make it a monster show." And at
Hmm.
the last few, it was just, "Let's do the monster of the week," and the show
Uh-huh.
lost what it had,
Wow.
which was a shame because it was a strong show at the
Yeah.
beginning.
I think it came back, I guess, around the either early 2000s on syndication again. I
Yeah,
later
and
on.
they also made an Outer Limits,
Yeah.
just like they did a new Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
You know, because they're not original enough to think of their own.
Yeah. I remember Rowdy Roddy Piper, rest in peace, was appeared on one episode as the bad guy on one there. I understand.
Well, I liked They Live because of Roddy
Oh
Piper.
yeah, so did I. And of course, the message and behind that movie is learning for what you see. That's a big topic we to discuss when we talk about movies there.
Yeah, because a lot of movies have these messages that a lot of people don't pick up on.
Yeah, like for instance, Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero movie, I guess from the '79 or 1980. That was about commercialism, in there, and thrown into that mix there because the whole thing takes place in a shopping mall after hours,
Right.
and plus John Carpenter's They Live that we just discussed, had a thing about about corporations, getting into people's minds. When somebody comes along, they get inside this area and they start to act and think like those people around them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had some deep stuff going on too.
Yes.
A lot of the really good movies have that stuff going on
Yeah.
that you got to kind of talk about because a lot of people don't pick up on it.
Yeah. And of course, one thing we got to mention, Toby Hooper called Life Force, which came out in the '80s, and
Oh, I remember
my
that.
mom watched that, and she was like really concerned. It's like that made me think how we're all going to go out when during the Revelation times come around years ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I need to one of these days talk to Drew on his show and tell him because he's made remarks about older people need to go or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was going to, hey, Drew, you want to throw me on the carousel and see if he gets that?
Wow. So Drew kind of like had said something derogatory about old people, I guess.
Well, yeah, in a way, or I guess I took that way because I'm old people.
Yeah, I'm old myself. Remember, I'm in my 50s and you're in your 60s, I understand there?
In November, I'll be 70.
Wow. So you're 69 currently.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. And the king out there, the reason why we're doing this, these series of programs is because a lot of kids out there need to be aware of what came before. Many times I tried to talk about this, and many times I tried to teach other people about this, but a lot of people out there are fucking closed-minded, and it just pisses us off. They're like,
Well, we need to pass on what we know
yeah,
because I don't know if you ever saw the movie Fahrenheit 451,
I remember hearing about that. Yes.
but that was one where, and Kate, take note of this because it's going to happen,
Hmm.
uh, where they went around burning books,
Oh yeah.
trying to get rid of them. And there was a society, I need to
Hmm.
re-see this movie,
Yeah.
that all the people in there had memorized a book and they were telling it to people, to
Hmm.
each other, to young people, trying to keep it alive.
Yeah.
But that was a good movie, and that's another one we need to. Well, I'll need to rewatch it,
Yeah.
but that's another one that we need to talk about because it had a very deep message.
Yes.
Oh, and the carousel bit was, did you see Logan's Run?
Yes, I remember that movie. Yes.
That was where
Definitely.
they sent everybody over a certain age into the carousel,
Life
and
end. Yes, I remember the life ends at 30. I
yeah,
remember that. Yeah. Definitely, that's a good point out there because people have this tendency to try to stay young so they don't grow old and stuff.
right.
Yeah,
Hey, it happens. You
yeah,
just deal with it, and
I know.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, just move on with your life. Because I know. And of course, we have some ground rules for our shows up there. First and foremost, no Tommy NC 2010, no Bullfrog, and no YR or his cronies there.
We want to keep it on topic, on discussion, not get into any drama. There are certain people that I kind of hope they do show up because they can
Dave
contribute.
Rose, we'd like to have him on the
That's
show sometime, on these
that was
topics.
definitely one of my thoughts.
Yeah, it's because Dave, you got to give Dave credit. He is very intelligent with his knowledge there. I know he was last night. I was listening to a little bit of Bullfrog stream up there just for the heck of it, and he was like talking about Bullfrog, how to operate a OBS and stuff there.
Yeah, I guess if I ever decide I want to open my own channel to go along with this one,
Yeah,
because whatever I do, I want it to be something we do together.
yeah,
That I need to learn how to do all that stuff too
yes.
and put that on there. And maybe one of these days we'll move into Patreon. Who knows?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I was thinking about doing starting up a Patreon on my own, but it was because as you know I do it, but I wanted to be just the music streams that I do at nighttime, because I do a lot of techno, a lot of soundscape, a lot of
Right?
slow stuff there, you know. But the thing is, I want to get somehow copyrighted in my name because because a lot of them comes from other things on YouTube. I just combine them all together there, and the thing of copyright infringement is going to kind of mess you up there.
Yeah. Now, as far as the classical music goes, a lot of the copyrights in that have expired
Yeah, that's true there.
on
Yeah,
most of it.
yeah,
But when we start moving into other stuff, we'll have to be careful not to play much
yeah,
or
that's true.
anything at that matter
You know what?
because we'd.
I got to bring up this artist. I mentioned this one time before to Minnesota Vikings, and there is a guy out of England. His name is James Leland Kirby. He released a number of albums under the name The Caretaker. And here's the gimmick is he would take all these recordings, big band recordings from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and he would manipulate them, slow them down a little bit, add a little bit of scratchy record effects along with it as well. He would loop them certain moments all throughout the track there, add a little bit of echoes there, and the the purpose of that was actually the idea for that was inspired by the last few minutes of The Shiny, the 1980 horror classic.
Yeah.
Yes, where you see the camera zooming down the hall in this one photograph from 1937 with Jack Nicholson with all those people. I guess he liked the idea of music being performed that way. Just with give it a little bit of eeriness to it there with the echo in the back there. And plus, by the way, since Jack Torrance is considered the caretaker of that particular hotel, that's where Kirby got the idea for the to call his project there.
Yeah, well, see, a lot of that stuff to me needs to be preserved, for lack of a better word,
Yes,
because it has a place. It's important.
yes.
I try to do as much, well, without getting into details, I try to collect as many MP3s from all over,
Mm-hmm.
all types of music, whatever.
Yes.
I probably have 250, 300,000 of those things.
Wow.
Uh, so I try to basically, in my own mind, do a preservation also.
Yes. To let the people know there. I remember all the what. I'm getting tongue tied here. Somebody got to work on. I remember being in a Hot Topic store at the nearby mall up there, and I was turning one of the workers on to an act called Lustmord. Now,
Right.
Lustmord is considered the pioneer of dark ambient music. It was started back in 1980 by a dude named Brian Williams from the Wales area in England, and he released over 20 albums, 3 live records, and he's done s- scores for video games, sound effects, sound design for various sci-fi and action movies there. And I was playing some of his stuff here to one of the workers at Hot Topic. They were very interesting, and they liked it, and it was very interesting because a lot of stuff at that Hot Topic and nowadays is all these emo bands up there, all the stuff that MPs to these young kids out there.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because you mentioned an artist that's got all those records that not many people have heard of.
yeah,
What's really weird, of course, it's something that we'll get into in the 60s again, and I'll
yeah,
re-mention it.
yeah.
But there's a group called Status Quo,
Yes, I remember hearing about that. Yes, and
Pictures of Matchstick Men.
yeah,
They got like 30 albums in England, and all we've ever heard is the one over here.
yes.
Pictures of Matchstick Men was a hugely popular song, then nothing.
Wow,
But if you go hunt up their catalog, they got tons
tons,
of albums.
tons
They
of
had 20
records
or
there.
30 of them, and
Yeah,
they're a good band.
yeah. I heard a
And
lot
it's
of good
amazing
things
how
about
many
them. Yeah.
good
Hell,
bands never get played over here.
it's kind of funny, the band UFO. They are the bands who
Another good
influence.
example.
Yeah, Michael Schenker's old band. They lost a couple members along the way. Sadly, they're considered influencing the bands like Iron Maiden, Metallica, those groups.
They were a
Yeah,
good prog group.
yeah. They were
Very good.
considered a big influence. I know Eddie Trunk brags about them a lot on his shows there now and then. In
But
fact,
yeah, there's a lot of those kind of groups floating around out there.
yeah, I
That
was recommended an album, a live record they put out called "Strangers of the Night" by a couple of people in the chat on Joe Cronin's show. There, I remember a couple of years back there. I listened to a little bit there. It's pretty good stuff there.
Yeah, was that the album that also had one song that's memorable to me is Alaska.
Ah,
And
I didn't really get to check it out. I gotta do more digging into that group there. I gotta admit there.
well, what we'll do is when we start discussing all the various things,
Yeah,
you'll tell me about people that I need to check out,
yeah,
and hopefully I tell you about people that you need to check
definitely.
out.
Definitely got to do so. Definitely.
Because there's a lot of stuff out there that gets missed. In fact, I'll just mention it now, but I'll re-mention it when we get to it.
Yeah,
In the late 60s was a group called Clearlight.
yeah.
They did a song called Mr. Blue
Mhm.
that if you listen to it, it's Big Brother. I mean,
Ah,
it's amazing.
Big Brother and the Holding Company.
No, no,
Oh,
it's about Big Brother.
oh,
But I
okay.
remember,
My bad. Yes.
but I remember Big Brother and the Holding Company too.
Yeah, Janis Joplin's old band before it became Janis Joplin solo act.
Yeah, and they did some great songs.
Yeah, my dad had one of their records. I guess it was called Cheap Thrills. You remember that record?
Yep, yep. I do
Yes.
remember that one.
Yeah. My dad had that album.
Well, that had
Piece of My
one,
Heart.
yeah, which is probably her most famous song.
Yeah,
Down on
next to,
Me.
yeah, plus the song Ball and Chain, which I guess was a
Yeah,
cover tune, I remember.
yeah. There were several, but like I said, we'll kind of get into that one deeper too when we get
Yeah.
into the '60s, and we move from the '60s. 'Cause there's several genres in the '60s, but at the tail end of the '60s is when it started breaking out in all the other genres. You know, do you remember underground?
Underground, the band, or
No, the music. It was kind of the start of all of the alternate music, I guess you would call it.
no, the music underground, yes.
Yeah, that's where you heard like the Grateful Dead, people like that.
Yeah.
They started out in what used to be called underground radio stations.
Yes, college stations, yeah. Same with
Yeah.
Pink Floyd.
Yep. Savoy Brown, people like that.
Yeah,
You never heard them on Top 40, but you always heard them on the other shows.
because they had their cult audience, and they had a massive cult audience there.
Yeah, and there was some great stuff at that time too.
All right. All right, so tomorrow night, Debbie, would it be at the same time? Are we doing
About
live?
six,
6 o'clock, 6 p.m. over here, Central Time there.
right. And if you want to go live, let's go live and try to get some people in a chat.
Okay, definitely. We'll do this tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Me and you and I, and we'll be discussing what is it again? Dinga, we gotta go. Gotta write
Oh,
down the
classic,
classical music. Yeah.
basically classical music,
Yes,
Beethoven,
definitely.
Bach, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and then Tchaikovsky,
Yes.
Rimsky,
Tchaikovsky. Yeah.
Korsakov,
Yes.
Mussorgsky. I could sit here and name a bunch, but then I'm doing tomorrow's show already.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll probably end this here. So and be forewarned to all the people out there who will be checking this when it uploads on my channel tomorrow night. It will be Tuesday. It'll be classical music. Wednesday it'll be classical rock.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. No, Doctor Who. Definitely. Again,
Thursday we'll continue with music, and it depends on how Tuesday goes.
okay, definitely. All right, there. Okay. That's about it for now. There's like a preview of some of the projects me and Arknolia will be doing for this week there and hereafter. And of
Yep,
course, yeah.
and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, definitely. So tomorrow night will be live on my channel. Me and Arknolia will be discussing classical music there, and Wednesday will be Doctor Who.
And Thursday depends on how Tuesday goes,
Yeah.
and Friday will be Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Okay, definitely. We'll be discussing that as well. And also other movies that are viewed that were bad but are often viewed as called classics. And there's a few I can name as well. I
Reefer
gotta throw in.
Madness.
Yeah, definitely. And also Sheena, Queen of the Jungle from 1984.
Yeah.
Definitely. Gotta talk
If
about that one. A couple others.
you want to talk about a recent bad movie, there's
Yeah.
Battlefield Earth.
Oh yeah, I know. Gosh, that was a trip, man.
That was horrible.
Oh my god.
I remember that.
John
My wife,
Travolta, come on, that has got to be the most awkward thing. Here's John Travolta, supposed to be this monster alien, but he
oh
looks
yeah,
like Rob. He looks like an alien version of Rob Zombie, and he's talking like Vinnie Barbarino.
yeah. Well, what's funny is
Oh
when that
god.
movie first came out, my wife at the time figured, oh, this would be great. Let's take you and your brother and we'll go see this movie. We went to that movie. We sat there and watched it. And when we walked out of the movie, both my brother and I looked at her and said, what the heck was that? You know, I mean, that
Oh
was
god.
really bad.
Oh my
But
gosh.
that's one we can talk about too.
Definitely we got to. I'm so tripping over that. Come on. Here's a cyber goth, alien with looking like Rob Zombie and with a Vinnie Barbarino voice. So come on, man.
Oh, it
Oh
was definitely
god.
bad.
Oh my gosh. I mean, oh god. Shit. Okay. Okay, like I said, that's be do it for us today. There, we'll be tomorrow once again. Tomorrow night we'll be live on my channel. There, we'll be discussing all this stuff here. Okay, Arknolia Strokelbean, it's good talking with you, dude. Yeah.
It's good talking to you.
Oh yeah, finally we get to do something together and then get some things going on this channel here of mine. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel there. Hit that like button and leave your comments below about what we got coming up here. For our
Right.
no, for
Give
our
us
no,
ideas.
Yep. Give us some topics, and we hope to bring in people that do matter within this community, like Farmouth Ken, Davius Dave Rose, and possibly we could probably get Joe Cronin or Justin Bailey, JB, on here as well if he is already, because he works night shift. You
Right.
definitely got to get those, get something going there. And also,
Sounds
by
good.
the way, just also remind people of some of the streams that I do on occasionally on the nighttime there, like the techno, the soundscape streams. I have a few that I'm uploading on my SoundCloud as well. I'm on SoundCloud. I think I mentioned this a couple of times. I have a few streams that I have uploaded on there. Definitely go check them out.
And I'm thinking of doing a YouTube channel, but it will be more in conjunction with what Dr. Earl's doing, but we'll
Yeah,
spread it out as what, because I don't see myself doing one by myself.
yeah, definitely. We'll definitely collaborate on your channel just as well, man.
Sounds good to me.
All right then. All right, for myself, Arknolia Strokelbean, this is Dr. Earl. Have a good one, and be prepared, people, for what we got coming in the future there. All
Hope
right.
for the best.
All right, there. All right. You have a good one. And there.
You too.
All right. Bye bye there.
Bye.
All right.